Tournaments are the most important events in debate. This is where you get to debate in several rounds over the course of a few days. Tournaments will usually span from one day up to several days, and there are several important things you should keep in mind when you have an upcoming tournament. Before you go to a tournament, it is always extremely helpful to have a few practice rounds with other debaters. This can help you increase your understanding of your arguments and your overall knowledge of the topic. These rounds will also alert you if your case takes too long or short to read, or if you have a hole in your argument. Usually, you can sign up for a coaching with a public forum chair and another team to debate against. The chair will watch the round and then critique it after. Just make sure you find another team to debate against. I would always suggest having at least 2 to 3 practice rounds before your first tournament for a new public forum topic. As you continue to debate, don't be afraid to start asking much better debaters in your school to have a practice round. Most of the time, they will be completely willing to have a practice round with you. This will massively help you improve. You should also try to redo your late speeches, meaning your summary or final focus, after practice rounds to see what you could have done to win the round and just to get more practice. Let's start with pre-flows. Pre-flows are basically just pieces of paper that have your case flowed out on the constructive side of the paper. This allows you to be completely prepared to debate before you even walk into your round. It also makes you seem more professional because you don't need to spend 5 minutes pre-flowing during your round. To create your pre-flows, follow the method shown. Start with a new Google document and make the margin span from a quarter-inch marker on the left margin to the half-inch marker on the inside of the paper. This sounds a little confusing, so just use the visual on your screen for reference. In the header section, title the page by the side you are going to preflow. Then, go ahead and list your contentions in the column you created in bolded Times New Roman font and 10-point font size. Then, below each of your contentions, list all of your cards or evidence that you use in your case. In the example you see, the evidence is identified using the author's last name and the year it was produced. Then, I wrote a quick summary of what the evidence said. After that, list your main impacts of each contention. Feel free to add any other pieces of important analysis that may be debated during the round. You should make one pre-flow for each side of the debate, meaning you should have one pre-flow on the affirmative side and one pre-flow on the negation side. Let's move on to printing. With so many different documents, it can be really confusing of what you should or should not print out for the tournament. So let's start with cases. I would always print out one copy of the affirmative case and one copy of the negation case. If you're really unorganized and you think you might lose the papers between rounds, you can always print out a second copy just to play it safe. Having a hard copy of your cases is really important because it allows you to have an increased amount of eye contact and hand gestures while giving your constructive compared to reading your case off of the computer. If you happen to include your cards on the same document as your case, that's okay. Just don't print them out. It's always best to keep your cards in a document on your computer. That way, it's easy to find the evidence using either a table of contents or the command find function. You should also not print out your blocks because you will accumulate a large amount of them for each resolution. Again, keeping the blocks on a document and using a table of contents or a command find is the best way to keep them organized and easy to access. The one other thing you should print is your pre-flows. This is where it gets slightly more complicated. If you're going to a league tournament or another tournament where you know exactly how many rounds you will be debating on each side of the resolution, either AF or neg, then all you have to do is print out 2 affirmative pre-flows for each affirmative round you will have and 2 pre-flows for each negation round you will have. For example, at League Super Debate, you will always debate 2 affirmative rounds and 2 negation rounds. For that tournament, you should just print out 4 affirmative pre-flows and 4 negation pre-flows. If you are going to a tournament that relies on flip to decide what side you will debate, you may need to adjust the number of pre-flows you print out. The term flip means that you will need to flip a coin each round before the round starts to determine who will be debating on the affirmative or negation side. If you are going to a tournament that uses flip, I would always print out enough affirmative and negation pre-flows for 1 minus the amount of rounds you will have. This means if you have 6 rounds, you should print out enough pre-flows to debate on the neg side for 5 rounds and the AF side for 5 rounds. In this situation, you should print out 10 affirmative pre-flows and 10 negation pre-flows. This always will allow you to have enough pre-flows during the tournament. I know this sounds like a lot of printing, but there are many instances where I've debated on the negation side 5 rounds out of 5 on prelims. If you ever do run out of preflows during a tournament, just preflow your case by hand on a sheet of paper before your next round. If you are going to a tournament that has break rounds, you can always print out a few extra preflows for both sides if you expect to break, or you could just preflow by hand at the tournament if you do manage to break. Tournaments that have break rounds are tournaments that have elimination rounds after the pre-elimination rounds. The top 8, 16, or 32 debate teams after pre-elimination rounds will move on. The number of teams that move on is dependent on how many entries there are in that tournament for public forum. My last suggestion for printing is that you split up the printing between you and your partner. The best way to do this is to agree on the number of cases and preflows you will print for each side, and then split up the printing by side. This means that you will print everything for the affirmative side and your partner will print everything for the negation side, or the other way around. Finally, let's have a look at what we should bring on tournament day. Always bring a folder containing the cases and preflows you printed. You should also carry some blank printer paper to flow or take notes on. Bring a pencil case containing at least 2 red pens and 2 black pens. You probably will want to bring a pencil and an eraser just in case you want to get some homework done during the tournament. Make sure you bring your phone and computer, and most importantly, make sure they're fully charged. The best way to do this is to leave them plugged in but inside your backpack overnight. That way they will be completely charged when you wake up. Don't forget to bring a charger for both your phone and your computer just in case they run low on battery during the tournament. Trust me, bring them the first time because you end up using your computer a lot more often than you expect during tournaments. You should also bring a timer if your phone doesn't have the capability to time. This will help you time your and your opponent's speeches during the rounds. If you have never been onto the campus that the tournament is being held at, it is always helpful to print out a map of the campus or have access to a picture of it on your phone. This will really help you by reducing the chances of you getting lost while looking for your next debate round. Finally, make sure you have access to a schedule of the tournament on tabroom.com so you have a rough idea of how many rounds will be distributed throughout the day. If you want, you can always try to coordinate your outfit with your partner to make your team look slightly more organized and professional. This probably won't be the deciding factor on a win or loss in a round, but it can always leave a good impression on the judge. Most tournaments will offer food that you can buy for lunch, but sometimes the lines can get extremely long and they may even run out of food. I would always suggest bringing a sandwich and some things to snack on to keep your energy up throughout the tournament. Always bring a water bottle that you can refill. You can become easily dehydrated at a tournament, so you always want to be drinking water. If a tournament is being held on the weekend, you should bring some homework that you can do between rounds so you don't have to stay up super late on Sunday night trying to finish all of your homework. Thanks for watching, and good luck at your next debate tournament.